Shane, there's now a cell phone that's a better portable gaming device than the Switch.
You know what that sounds like?
Hot take!
Huawei is a very large manufacturer of mobile phones who recently got into the market a few years ago and has been having a huge impact. Their cell phones have been taking a huge precedent because a lot of folks out there find that their phones are not only cheap, but are pretty powerful. And this is a big deal when you consider that their competitors in the market make super expensive cell phones. But they decided to change that up because their cheaper line of cell phones, and most recently in the past couple of years, has been getting to be a little bit more premium. And with this very latest intervention, I want to say, into the video game market, they decided that they are basically trying to do something that most people would never attempt.
So not only are they competing with other cell phone manufacturers are like, no, we're getting into the handheld console market as well. They announced the Mate 20 series of their cell phones, and specifically the Mate 20X. Phone. It's a handheld gaming competitor going against the Nintendo Switch.
Yes, it is.
And this isn't just a fleeting thing where they're like, yeah, it's probably better than the Switch. It's like, no, boom, boom. In their big press conference, they have the giant image of their phone next to a Switch. They're like, no, this is a better handheld gaming device, and here's why.
Yes, they showed off some hardware that apparently, from what we can tell, is more powerful than the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, okay. Do you want some specs real quick?
Yeah, let's do
Super duper quick. Okay,
right.
Specs. Spec 1, 7.2-inch screen. I'm not going to go through the numbers. It's a 1080p OLED display.
That is a higher resolution display than the Switch.
720p on the Switch.
Yep.
It has a Kirin 980 processor, a very good processor, which allows for more battery space. If you got more battery space, you got more battery life. Supposedly this phone has over 2 times as much battery life as the Nintendo Switch does.
Which is typical for cell phones in general.
Yeah, it has a stylus for the screen, and it has an gamepad that attaches to the cell phone.
Optional.
I was going to say that. I was saving that. But anyway, yeah, it's an optional gamepad that you attach to the screen, and then you have your analog stick and you have your D-pad on that doohickey itself.
Yes. So remember, it's only on one side of the screen. You'll see a brief picture right now.
Right. Yeah. So looking at this picture, it does kind of look like kind of a half of a Switch or 3/4 of a Switch, because it's like there's the one sort of Joy-Con-esque thing on the left. But you don't have the tactile buttons. You don't have the real physical buttons on the right, which I don't know. This sucks.
Okay. No, it does. Okay, see, this is the problem that all the gamers are having right now. When they're looking at this device, they see it, and they see that it has one hand that you can use with physical buttons, and
one hand that you can slap yourself in the face with for buying this freaking phone.
All cell phone games very recently have been produced with different ideas for how they could operate. So one of the problems you have with cell phone games is that not all of them use physical buttons from video game controllers that you can attach to them through Bluetooth. So the side of the screen might have a lot of tactical input or things that use the touchscreen.
Yes.
So usually what they do is they keep that side open. We've been seeing this a lot. There is this brand of phone called the Shark, and the Shark does the same thing. There's a couple of other cell phone manufacturers that are making controls on the left that are physical, and on the right it's the natural screen. Now, with all that being said, and with all that stuff that we're seeing, I want you folks to understand something about this. This is not going to be a popular gaming device, nor will it ever take on the Nintendo Switch, and there is no doubt in my mind that it's going to happen. You want to put money down on this? I guarantee 150% that this thing will never compete against the Switch, and we're going to give it every benefit of the doubt. Let's just start this off, okay? Let's say it's got better specs.
It does.
Let's just say this.
It does. It's a better gaming machine. It has better specs.
Twice the battery life, twice the better specs. Let's even say it's got a 4K screen, and it doesn't. Let's just say it does everything better, 110% physically in that regard, okay? The fact that it doesn't come with the controller.
It's optional.
That's the problem. If it came with the controller, that could be something different.
Also, the controller that attaches, it can only do one attached dongle at a time. So it's not like you can attach a second thing on the right. Like you could have 2 Joy-Cons. It only supports one. So maybe if there's one that wrapped around the cell phone or something.
But see, this is again the problem. The moment it's an optional accessory, you're now selling devices. Think of it this way, folks. How many people out there that owned an Xbox 360 also bought an HD DVD drive? Look in the comments there. Wow, that guy did.
And it's almost like thinking about, okay, with the 3DS, you had the Circle Pad Pro. not everyone went out and bought a Circle Pad Pro. So,
Yep.
like, not every game was supporting the Circle Pad Pro specifically because, yeah, that would have segmented the market.
And see, that's the big problem. Whenever you're selling any kind of video game device, it needs to come with the controls and the options built in so that it's there. Look, if the Nintendo Switch didn't come with a dock, people would primarily not be using it as a home video game system. They would only be using it as a mobile device because folks wouldn't be going out of their way to do that. We saw the same thing happen with the PSP 2000 model. We saw the same thing happen with a bunch of devices like that. And when it comes to controls have to be bundled in because if people are going to be designing games for it, they need to know that the majority of consumers out there that are buying it have access to those physical controls. When the majority of the consumers out there are going to be buying this thing without that, that means they're basically going to be like, oh, well, I have to make my game work for not this control and work for the physical screen, and that's it.
Exactly, or else you segment the market. It's so dumb for them, like in their press conference, to be showing this machine right next to the Switch with the optional controller thing attached, and it doesn't come with it out of the box. That's just pure stupidity to me. Like, why the heck would they even...
And to compete against the Nintendo Switch is also to compete against Nintendo, one of the premier, if not greatest video game companies to have ever existed in the industry. You seriously think you can do anything up against them? Look, it's not even that I doubt Huawei's ability to make games. It's that they've never done it. Like, that's just it. If they actually had development, like some examples of games they produced in the past that were in some way really interesting, maybe, but they don't have that. They don't have any examples there that we can see that show something.
If there are examples of Huawei games, like, they are so under the radar to me that I do not know much about them.
Yeah, it's literally about marketing. It's about doing a lot of things to make sure that
you know what
works.
I kind of think this might be? This might be marketing right now, like us talking about this device because of how they positioned it to be this handheld gaming.
100%. That's what this is.
Maybe this is exactly what they wanted. It's like, well, no, this isn't going to be the ultimate handheld gaming device, but don't tell them.
Yeah.
This is just going to make headlines, and people are going to be talking about how this thing could or could not be competing with the Switch.
See, Adam's on point here. That's exactly
of course I'm on point, Jane.
They wanted this. They wanted us to be talking about it. They wanted a whole bunch of people to be talking about it. But the problem is, when you do that kind of marketing, you have to take into consideration that if you do it wrong, it causes the wrong effect.
Yeah.
So now what's going to happen is all of you out there that are watching are going to be seeing this video knowing Huawei not as a decently good cell phone manufacturer, but as a group of folks that are trying to make a video game system that's going to fail.
Right, a janky, failed video game, handheld video game system, basically.
Yeah, like in the gaming industry, we all knew some cell phone manufacturers in the past that were making really cool cell phones, but then when that one cell phone manufacturer a long time ago decided to make a video game console, do you remember which cell phone I'm talking about? What? You had to hold it like a taco on your ear.
Oh, you're talking about the N-Gage.
The N-Gage.
The taco.
Who made the N-Gage?
The Nokia.
Nokia was a massive cell phone company, okay? These folks made the best cell phones in the market, and then they made a video game console called the N-Gage,
which in the original model, you had to take out the battery to replace your game carts.
See, this is what happens when you get companies that try to make video game systems that are typically not in the video game space.
They just don't understand.
Yeah. Even if they were to hire someone that tells them what they're supposed to do, those people are so new to the company that they don't have the impact or the influence that would take to actually make something that would extend. So, for instance, when we see companies like Google entering into the gaming market, which we keep hearing about underneath the waves,
right. Yes, we have.
Basically, when we hear about this stuff happening, we're not hearing about them going, oh, we're just going to try something. What we hear about is they've hired a really big person from another company to come over and design it and like lead that group into making it a success.
Bring their knowledge into it.
Yeah. When Sony got into video game design and video game console manufacturing, do you think they just hired like a dude that had never done it before? No, they got people that were familiar with the industry. Huge, really interesting history about that. Nintendo is the same scope. Sega has the same scope. Things like that happen in that regard. When you look at a company like this, the chances of them being successful is even with the money they have is just less of a chance.
If they did have the forethought to have someone who was in touch with the gaming market, we wouldn't have just seen a simple little dock controller thingy that you're attaching to the cell phone. They would have maybe shown that off, which still looked horrible, but right after that, like, that would have been a footnote, and then they would have said, and here are the exclusive games that are coming to this platform that we've been working on for a year now.
Yeah.
Right? And you can only play them on this device, and here's why you want to pick this up. They didn't do that at all.
They
just said, here's how you play it. Our screen's better, our battery's better. I don't care. Honestly, I don't care. Like I play a plethora of consoles, and a lot of them are not the brand new HD consoles. Like I play a bunch of stuff because there's great software. You need software to support a device. The Switch has software. Whatever the heck this monstrosity, this freaking Frankenstein is, I don't know. I don't know what software.
It's got a calculator built in.
Yeah, I'm gonna play Angry Birds 2 with the analog stick. I like what? I don't know. I don't know, man.
What's interesting about this, too, is that this company coming to the market, it proves a point that I think I discussed way back when I first talked about the Nintendo Switch. I said that eventually cell phone manufacturers, within a year or two, were going to make hardware that would surpass the Switch.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the day. This is it. This is the moment when cell phone manufacturers surpass the Switch. Did it mean that they were going to make maybe this is a better piece of hardware, but it doesn't matter unless they've got the games. So folks like Google, if they can make the game manufacturing happen on a big front, they might have an impact. But when it comes to a company like this that doesn't seem the foresight to know to make games like a priority on their gaming console, then it's not going to work.
That's so silly.
But what's interesting, though, is when you're seeing hardware like this exist on the market, now you have to start to think about how Nintendo can take advantage of these parts. Are we going to start to see a Nintendo Switch? We've already heard about a Nintendo Switch upgrade coming.
Yeah, the second half of next year, supposedly, we're going to be getting a revamped Switch. So are we going to be seeing something where the specs are possibly closer to this thing? We're not too sure. We know the screen is one thing that they're really looking into.
Yeah, so this might be the thing. I mean, personally, I would like them to just make a more power-efficient Switch that has the battery last a little bit longer and maybe some extra just space for internal
extra
storage.
Space, better battery life, better screen, doesn't run so hot.
Yeah, cheaper to manufacture too, so that we can actually get them cheaper on the market front. That would be the way to go. Yeah. But that's the way Nintendo's thought in the past. I can't imagine Nintendo's going to release a brand new Switch that rivals this, because they don't need to. They don't have to rival this new expensive device. But what's so hilarious?
We didn't even talk about this.
This is the part I really want to
talk about this.
How much do you think this thing costs?
How many Switches do you think you could buy for the? Do you know how much this costs?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So you go.
No, you go. I want just think. What is the most expensive price it could possibly be?
I think just the phone without the dongle is $1,000. US.
$1,000.
A Switch right now
it's not $1,000.
It's $300.
Yeah.
You can buy 3 Switches and then maybe an extra pair of Joy-Con or like a game or something. And
it's ridiculous, folks. Okay, cell phones can be that much recently because of the way that Apple and Google have been selling their flagship stuff recently. So we're seeing that. Even Samsung is selling phones around that price range. But I don't think consumers that are getting into gaming are going to want to purchase something that is that expensive. Look, consoles have struggled to get more expensive and sell. And the Xbox One X, despite doing decently well, is one of the most expensive consoles on the market, and it is not selling as fast as the PlayStation 4 or the Switch.
That's right.
So why do they think $1,000 with no games and the controller isn't included, why do they think they're going to sell anything? Folks, what do you think? Let us know in the comments below.
Yeah, when do you think the Mate 20X is going to surpass the Switch in viability within the games industry?
Might surpass the Switch for like a week or something.
No,
because it's a cell phone, right? Yeah, that people might buy for a cell phone.
Okay. They're not buying it for gaming.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, hey, this new, better looking cell phone.
Yeah, but I mean,
nice.
You know what? Even then, as a cell phone, if I'm going to go into any kind of digital storefront or store, and I'm going to buy a cell phone, am I going to go buy that one for $1,000, or am I going to buy the leading Apple phone
Samsung.
or the Samsung, or like the new Pixel phones from Google? Like those are the ones that make sense. Or if I'm really into gaming, wouldn't I get the new Republic of Gaming cell phone? Wouldn't I get the new Razer cell phone? I mean, we have gaming cell phones. Oh my God, the more you think about this, the more irritating it is.
As a collector, I'd rather get a Nokia N-Gage than this thing. I'd rather get a Gamecom than this thing.
That's a pull. Well, folks, what do you think? Do you want to get this phone? If you do, explain yourself.
Go toss yourself in the garbage.
Because we really need to understand your point of view.